Oh, I'm matching my chair today. Oh, that's cute. Also, the sun is coming in. Yay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Matt, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about popular plant care advice that I don't follow. Now, this is not to say that this advice is bad. Some of this advice is actually pretty freaking good, and I should be following it, but I am an idiot sandwich after all. I made a list of 5 pretty common plant care advice that I see floating about on the internet, tell you what I think about them, and tell you why I am not following them. Let me know in the comment section below if there is any popular plant care advice that you don't follow, and if there is any popular advice that you do follow. I would love to hear from you guys. You know, I love to talk to you guys. So please leave them comments down in the comment section below, and I hope you will enjoy this video. Grab yourself a cozy little beverage, a little snack, and let's get going. The first thing on my list is something that I should be doing, something that we all should be doing, and it is isolating new plants. Now, I am horribly guilty of just bringing a new plant into my collection and just putting it into general population, which is never a good idea. And mainly it's not a good idea because of pests. No matter how hard somebody tries, no matter how much they check the plant, no matter how much they control their environment, pests are just, you cannot guarantee that a plant doesn't have pests. It just comes with the territory. It just comes with houseplants. Pests are unfortunately an essential part of this hobby. You cannot have a large houseplant collection without pests. Obviously, the more plants you have, the more you are at risk of getting like a proper pest infestations. If you only have a couple of plants here and there, chances are that you won't be dealing with pests, but still, nurseries, plant shops, greenhouses, none of those places can guarantee that a plant is completely pest-free, no matter how much they take care of it or how often they check it. So it is always a good idea to isolate new plants away from your other plants. Ideally, that would be in like a completely different room that you can actually close, because most pests like thrips, even mealybugs, aphids, they can fly. They can freaking fly, and it's annoying. So if you can, it's always a better option to isolate in like another room away from the rest of your collection. Like if you have a plant room, let's say, and then you can like leave the isolation zone to be your living room or your dining room. Now, of course, not all of us have a plant room, and not all of us have the luxury to be able to isolate, because you do have to have like good lighting, good humidity, and a room to put them in. So I personally just don't do it because I don't have those things. Most of my plants are in this studio. This is one big open space, and I have only a limited amount of space to put new plants in. Upon arrival, I obviously check the plant, and I definitely like take precautions when it comes to pests. Like I treat it instantly. I wash all of the leaves. I give it a good look over. But after that, I just kind of plop it down and let it do its thing. I mean, truth be told, I am very YOLO when it comes to plants and when it comes to pests. Like I don't get that bothered. I don't get that bothered. I mean, it's just part of the hobby. I mean, does it suck? Yes, abso-freaking-lutely. But unfortunately, it's just something we have to deal with. And if you are in this hobby, you're kind of signing up for pests. So to me, it's not a big deal, and I already have pets. Like, I already deal with spider mites, I already deal with thrips, so like, I'm not too worried. Now, knock on wood, I don't have any wood here. Knock on wood, I haven't had mealybugs yet, which is surprising. I don't know how I haven't had mealybugs yet. I think I had every other pest. Okay, scale. I didn't have mealybugs and scale, but I had thrips, I had spider mites, I have probably flat mites, let's be honest, and I had aphids. So yeah, I did do my fair share of battling with pests. I mean, I still do, and I just view it as a part of the hobby. So to me, it's not a big deal. But like, yeah, in theory, I really should be isolating my plants. And in an ideal world, like they say to isolate your plants for at least 2 weeks. But honestly, I say if you can do it longer, do it. Like if you can isolate your plants properly for a month, I think that is even freaking better. Yeah, I think you should really be, I think we all should be doing that. But I don't know, I cannot. Whenever I get a new plant, I just get so excited and I want to see what it looks like in the spot that I have planned for it. And just having it in isolation for months or like for weeks and just waiting for it to come out of isolation, I don't know. Where's the fun in that? You know what I mean? Like, where is the fun in that? So personally, I don't isolate, but I really should. I really should. However, so far, again, knock on wood, I hadn't had any like major problems with not isolating my plants. I don't think I had like a plant come from a nursery or a plant shop with a really bad infestation. Usually I buy from like pretty reputable sellers, and I kind of buy from the same places over and over again. Not saying that those places also can't have pests. Obviously, like I said, you can buy from a place 9 times and then the 10th time you get like a horribly infested plant. It just happens. That's part of the charm. But yeah, on the whole, thankfully, I haven't had like a big pest infestation come in from a new plant. And in general, I find like just pests make their way into your household anyway, especially like, I don't know, during the summer, I have the windows open and just they fly in. They come in with your shoes, they come in with your groceries, they come in with your pets. So it's just kind of like, it's kind of the nature of this hobby, I suppose. So I just try not to stress about it too much. But again, if you can isolate, I highly recommend you do. I highly recommend you do so. Next up on my list is humidity and using humidifiers. And this is such a big and controversial topic because obviously, yes, the majority of the houseplants that we grow are tropical plants that live in rainforests. And what do rainforests have? Lots of rain. What does lots of rain mean? High humidity. However, that is obviously not the situation in our homes because we need to live in these homes. So we cannot have 80-90% humidity inside our households because obviously that will lead to a lot of issues. Most of our household humidity sits around like 40 to 50. Some are blessed with 60%, which I am jealous of you. However, I will say that during the like warmer months of the year, I actually have pretty good humidity up here. Like it can sometimes get up to like 60. It usually lingers around like 50 to 55 if I don't have the AC running. During the winter, when I have the heating running, obviously it gets a lot lower. Right now, I think it's around 40, but it can drop to like 30 if it's really cold and I am blasting the heat. And same thing goes during the summer. If the AC is working during the summer, it obviously also dries out the air and then the humidity drops. But if we have like a regular, like nice sunny day where it's not too warm, it's not too cold, and I don't have to turn on the air conditioning, honestly, the humidity up in here she's good. She is pretty freaking good. So on the whole, I would say I am blessed with having a pretty good humidity indoors. Not all of us have that, and some of us need to resort to humidifiers. Now, I have a kind of a complicated relationship with humidifiers because on the one hand, they are obviously so amazing. And obviously, whenever I use a humidifier, I just notice how much healthier, how much lusher, how much greener my plants look. They just look nourished. But on the other hand, they are such a pain in the ass. They're such a pain. Like they are so much work. They require frequent washing up. They require the use of distilled water, which is also like expensive. You're also buying all this bottled water all the freaking time. And please, just a little disclaimer, do not use tap water in your humidifiers. It is extremely bad for your own health and honestly for your space. I actually did make that mistake and I used tap water for a while and it literally covered every single surface in the studio with a gray film. It was disgusting. So please, for the love of God, do not use like just regular tap water. It has way too many minerals and way too many salts I believe. So it's definitely not good. You want to get either distilled water or I guess maybe filtered water, but distilled water is the best. And you should be using distilled water. But distilled water it's not expensive, but you know, if you have to buy like a gallon or like a couple of gallons each week, it does add up. And honestly, humidifiers do use up a lot of water. Like if you need to run that baby for like the whole day, it will take like, I believe, around 5 liters of water, which is somewhere around a little bit over a gallon, I believe. So it does require a lot of water, and then you have to constantly go to the store, buy distilled water, and then you also create all of this plastic waste because you are buying all of these huge plastic jugs. I sometimes buy distilled water for my carnivorous plants, but I keep the jugs and then I use those for like watering my other plants because those jugs are very, very handy when it comes to watering plants, in my opinion. And then you also have to wash them. Like you have to wash your humidifiers honestly every day. You have to at least like rinse it out, and then you have to like regularly give it a good wash, like every couple of days. It's a lot of maintenance, and I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot, Robin. If I had like a plant room that was just for my plants, I would maybe consider using a humidifier. Another reason why I don't like using humidifiers is just because, you know, when you have technology around, I don't know. Humidity and technology usually isn't like a good idea. So I think if I had like a separate plant room that I really just kept plants in, I would maybe consider adding a humidifier again, because it is really great and beneficial for your plants. But I don't know. As of right now, I'm just not in the mood to deal with humidifiers, so I just rely on ambient humidity, and honestly, it kind of works. I mean, yeah, could my plants be healthier and better if I had higher humidity? Obviously, duh. But honestly, like, survivor of the fittest. If you cannot survive in the conditions that I provide to you, there is the door, bitch. You can go away. Because I don't need plants that require extra special conditions. Like, you get the conditions you get, and you can either be happy and grow, or you can get the hell out of here. That's it. Like, there's no compromise here. There is no compromise here. I am brutal, okay? I want to know if you guys are using humidifiers or not. Like, I feel like it's very 50-50. Like, some people just love them and some people hate them. I am somewhere in the middle. I don't know, like, I definitely obviously see how beneficial they can be, but it's just a lot of work. It's just a lot of work, and I'm not here for it. I am not here for it. Now, next one is honestly, this advice I think is kind of boo-boo, and I don't really like it. And I will just say that upfront, straight and upfront, I don't think this is good advice. And it is that you shouldn't repot or fertilize your plants during the winter. That is just nonsense, because obviously we all live in very, very different climates. Winter for me is extremely different than winter for somebody in Florida, or winter for somebody in Canada, let's say. My winters over here they're like not horrible. We definitely do go into the negatives. We sometimes have snow, we have ice, but it's not like horribly cold, and usually that period only lasts for like a month or two tops. So on the whole, our winters aren't harsh, but honestly, I rely a lot on grow lights. I obviously heat this place because I need to live in it. I have a lot of grow lights because I don't have enough like natural light available to grow all of these plants. And these are all controlled environments. I grow my plants in a controlled environment. And obviously, my plants that live under a grow light don't really notice the shift in seasons. I mean, they do, obviously. They do slow down a little bit in the winter, but they still keep on growing. They still keep on doing well. And if a plant is growing, if it's actively pushing out new growth, I think you should absolutely fertilize it. Maybe fertilize it less, like there is that thing if your plant is growing really fast and vigorous that you can fertilize it full half, but if it's kind of slowed down, for example, if it's just a little bit slower during the winter because there is less light or because there is less humidity or because it's colder, then yes, you can maybe dilute your mixture, but I wouldn't completely stop fertilizing your plants, because if they're still growing, they will definitely need and can use those nutrients. And same thing goes for repotting. I mean, if a plant is root bound, if it's struggling, then repot it, like repot it. It will thank you. Now, most plants really don't need to be repotted as often as we repot them. Like most plants can stay quite root bound, but I find repotting to be such a relaxing and fun task. So whenever I have the opportunity to repot, I will repot. Okay, I don't care what time of day it is. I don't care what time of year it is. I just like to repot. I think it's such a fun activity, and it is probably my favorite plant chore in this whole entire hobby. So for me to not repot for like a couple of months, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I just like to do it. It's so much fun. So for me personally, again, all of this is obviously personal. I definitely do fertilize my plants in the winter, and I do repot my plants in the winter because I want them to grow. I want them to do well. And actually something that I love to do is set up my plants for success in the spring. So I will actually purposefully chop up my plants, repot my plants, start propagating my plants, because that way, while yes, they have a slower time establishing in the winter months, but that way they already start establishing during like January and February and March. And then once, you know, April, May, June, July hits, they are already kind of established. And I feel like they can start growing a lot faster and actually get more out of the growing season. Because if I propagate a plant in, let's say, June, when it would be the optimal time to propagate a plant, then it wouldn't really start growing until maybe the end of the growing season, and then it would enter winter like just looking kind of not well. So in my opinion, doing fertilizing and repotting is actually pretty good in winter if you have the conditions for it. Obviously, if you have a plant that's not growing, that gets literally no light, that lives in a cold room, leave it alone. Just leave it the heck alone. But if you have a controlled environment, if your plants are under grow lights, and if they're still growing and, you know, in need of a repot or fertilization, just do it. Like, just do it. The plant will thank you. So I say that this one is kind of boo-boo, and it really just depends on your environment. It really depends on your environment, because I don't know, people in LA, they don't have harsh winters and their plants still probably get a lot of sun. So like, why should they stop repotting and fertilizing their plants? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think you just need to assess your own living conditions, your own situation, and go from there. Next up is something that I should really be doing, and I feel like we are all guilty of this one. We are all guilty of this one, and it is constantly moving our plants. And I mean that we should not be constantly moving our plants. So the advice is to just leave your plants the heck alone and just not move them. But I have the need, I have the compulsion, I have the desire to always fiddle with my plants. I don't know. I like touching them. I like, you know, I like moving them around, seeing where they will look better. And obviously, every single movement of your plants, even if it's just like a little to the left or a little to the right, it's a big change for the plant, and it can stress the plant out. Now, of course, some plants are more resilient than others, but on the whole, they don't like being moved around. We all know that story about the fiddle leaf figs, where if you just move them like an inch to the left, they will drop all of their leaves. And I feel like most plants they like to be put into one place and then just left alone. Just left the hell alone. And I do find that plants that I just leave alone, that I don't look at, that I don't touch often, that I don't move often, that they just do better than the ones that I do. But it's just such a double-edged sword because, well, yes, obviously I want my plants to do well and I don't want to like disturb them. I still want to play with them. I still want to touch them. I still want to move them around. I still want to see how they would look in different positions. And it is hard not to do that. It is really hard, but I'm trying to like just, you know, make up my mind, figure out a spot for a plant, put it there and not move it. I try to only move plants nowadays if I have to water them. Now, of course, I still sometimes get the urge to rearrange my whole collection and things do move around from time to time. But on the whole, I try to leave them alone. I try to leave them alone. I give them a little look over. I try to, you know, see the back and the front. And that's it. Yeah, it's definitely hard, and I feel like we definitely move our plants maybe a little bit too much, and sometimes that can cause troubles, especially if you move them from, let's say, a really sunny spot to a really dark spot, or a really dark spot to a really sunny spot, and you don't acclimate the plant. That can cause a lot of issues. It can just stress the plant out way too much, and that is another plant advice that I actually don't follow, which I should, which is acclimating your plants when you're moving them from one place to another. I am that kind of person who just, you know, takes a plant out of a dark spot, puts it in the sunlight and expects the plant to do well. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I would say just try to move your plants as little as possible. And if you really have to drastically change their conditions, try to do it gradually. Try to do it, you know, put them in that spot for maybe an hour and then put them back and then for 2 hours and then put them back and so on and so on. I know it's hard. I know it requires time. I know it's boring. I know nobody wants to do it, but if you can and if you have the willpower and the motivation to do so, I definitely recommend that. But honestly, I understand if you don't want to go through that process, because I'm the same way and I also don't want to go through that process. I just want to enjoy my plants, but I do understand that sometimes doing so much to our plants and moving them so often can definitely stress them out. And my final point, my final care tip advice is something that we all read about when we start our journey. We get our first pest and we panic, we lose our minds, and what do? We go to the good old Google and we Google how to get rid of a certain pest. And of course, one thing is always in common, and it's the damn neem oil. It's the neem oil, the neem oil. Everybody talks about the neem oil, and every single article will say how neem oil is great and how it will get rid of the pests. And I am here to tell you that is absolutely horse poo-poo, okay? It is just, oh my God, I cannot stand neem oil. For me, it never works. It never freaking works. It never worked on any single pest that I had. It never did anything. And the worst part, and y'all freaking know, we all know neem oil. We all use neem oil, and we all know that it stinks like a beast. It's horrible. The stench is so bad. Oh my God, I cannot. It is so bad. It stings. It's just, it doesn't do anything in my opinion. It's kind of hard to work with. It's an oil. It's an oil. So it gets like all over your bottles, all over your hands. It leaves like a film on your leaves, and it's, oh my God, I cannot with neem oil. I cannot with neem oil, and I just want people to stop suggesting neem oil for pest control. Like, oh, obviously, if you like using neem oil, I'm not judging you. You go, you do you, and if it works for you, great. I mean, I wish it worked for me, but it didn't. I wasted my money on it. I definitely prefer the castile peppermint, tea tree, alcohol, and peroxide treatment. I think that pest treatment has been the one that I had the most success with. And obviously, if I had like a really bad infestation, I would just go for, you know, chemical pesticides, which obviously are not the greatest for ourselves or our plants or the environment. So I try to steer away from those as much as possible. But honestly, if I'm having, for example, a nasty thrips outbreak, and I just don't wanna like, risk it, I definitely grab the chemicals. But I don't know. I think I still have like a bottle of Neem and it's just sitting there and I'm like, I have to throw it away. I cannot stand neem oil. I can't, y'all. I cannot. And I hope moving forward we can just stop it with the neem oil nonsense and just leave it behind, leave it in the past. It's not necessary. There are so much better solutions for controlling pests nowadays. There is beneficials. There are other like proven insecticidal soap solutions. There is horticultural soap, and I think all of those are a lot better. Even just showering your plants, just using plain old water and giving your plants a shower, I think is a lot better than using neem oil. So I just think we should collectively cancel neem oil. That's what I think. I have a hair in my face. Get away from here. Get out of here. But that about wraps up my list. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my opinion. And again, let me know if you have any popular plant care advice that you do not like to follow. I hope you have a super fantastic, fabulous day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Oh, neem oil. Oh.